Hello there, good evening, and welcome back to Celtic World Order podcast. As always, I'm Steve O'Matt, and it's a welcome to you back to the channel here for a wee bit more of a weekly roundup as we talk about those, I say rumours, I use it lightly, guys, but what's been going out there apparently with this transfer window for Celtic, and of course, more importantly, safe passage in the Cup with a fairly comfortable, comprehensive victory on a random Friday night against Falkirk. As you can see up top, bearded brother, right-hand man, Paddy Boy, and down below, it's great to have back wearing a very nice CWO t-shirt there. I like that. It is, of course, Joe Donnelly. Guys, first off, how are you all doing since we were last on?
Aye, spot on. Obviously, myself and you, Steve, had the wee trip into Glasgow to appear on This Is Axon. That was really good. Thoroughly enjoyed that. Cracking outfit. They've got really professional outfit. If you haven't checked that out, please go across and check that out. That was absolutely fantastic. Other than that, you know me, I've been out gallivanting, been visiting families at their caravans and stuff, and just making myself at home. And then on Saturday, I was out in the boat, doing a wee bit of macro bashing, as you call it, just stocking up the freezers for winter. So, aye, brilliant, mate.
And yourself, Joe. It's been a while, but it's good to have you back, man. I know you've been busy and all.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I've been working away a bit in Cove as well. So, yeah, I've been a busy boy. But, yeah, great to be back. I was very lucky to have a Friday off, so I actually went out and swung the golf clubs about a wee bit. So that was nice in the nice weather, you know.
You guys, honestly, you've got a life of leisure.
Yeah.
You've got a life. Honestly, you can't hide class in it. Life of leisure, boats, caravans, fishing, golf. Look at you. I can't do anything yet still. So have a
jealous
consideration for
jealous.
me. Jealous, I'm honest. Anyway, listen, we digress. If you're not interested in what they've been doing or what I've not been doing, welcome back to the channel. As we always say, if you're a returning subscriber, thank you very much. We are within touching distance. I believe we're about 40 away for the magical 2K. So if you're watching this and you are not subscribed, like, firstly, why have you not subscribed? What the hell's going on there? It costs you absolutely nothing. Hit subscribe, get us notified, hit the bell icon every time that we go live. Do something like this, do an upload, you'll get notified. Get us an X, CW Pod 1888, Spotify, TikTok, Instagram, many ways to do it. Catch up, support Celtic World Order, help us get to that 2K and bust through the barrier. So anyway, guys,
if we hit 2,000, Steve, let me just add in, if we hit 2,000 by Saturday, I will give this lovely third pyjama kit away to somebody. All right, it's a size extra large. I will give that away to somebody if we hit 2,000 by Saturday. There you go. Get liking, get subscribing, get it done.
There you go. Well, there you go. That's a reason to subscribe, isn't it? Paddy's doing his thing there. But anyway, as we say, guys, let's get down to business. Well, right, let's just start off. It's been a wee while since we've been on, as you said. We use it with the life of leisure. We've done something elsewhere, but we watched that game on Friday, and I think that it was possibly one of the most enjoyable games that we've watched so far. All right. You know, it was a good victory against Aberdeen. Of course, it was the first day of the season. Nerves, perhaps. It was a wee bit underwhelming. The pre-season, by and large, was good, but this is us starting to get into the sort of thick of things with the Champions League coming up during the week. Of course, we wanted to see something. We knew that it was going to be time to experiment. And I think, well, you can't say fairer than that, Paddy. It was a fairly comprehensive display. And I think there was a lot of guys in there who took their opportunity and showed what they've got.
Yeah, that's it. It's one of the things. We spoke about it previously going in. We'd mentioned what we thought the team was going to be, who we were expecting to see things from. I thought the people that come in didn't do anything remotely wrong. Like you said, it was decent. It was people coming in trying to stake their claim for the squad. Thought Arnie Engels was all right.
I thought he was more than all right, to be honest.
You know what I mean? Decent delivery, decent put yourself about. I thought, I was quite impressed by him, which for me is rather strange. I was looking for the faults. I was waiting on them coming, but listen, fair play to the boy.
You mind up, haven't you? You're now always looking at the half glass full.
I have. I'm just sitting there. I was sitting waiting for something so as I could come on and go, I told you, but I didn't get it. I felt like he was actually playing really well. Aye, I know. I felt like it was a wee bit bittersweet for me seeing him playing well. Nah, listen, we want anybody that plays in a Celtic jersey to do well. Dane Murray as well, which I'm sure we'll get to. I thought he's done himself a lot of favours. Listen, fantastic. It's what you want for cup games, and we've said it before. Rotation is key, especially for games like this. if you can do it, do it.
Well, that's it. Let's have a wee look just for the benefits of bringing it up what we got there. Of course, it was much change. Sinisalo, through as we do with these post-match things now, we talk more about the performances. Sinisalo, Johnson, Murray, Trusty, good to see him back in there, of course. Question marks always arising around about him. Tierney, McGregor, Engels, McCown, Forrest, Maeda and Kenny. I think probably the biggest shock there, if we're being honest, is Johnny Kenny starting through the middle. I mean, we could have said it would have been Shin. Obviously, we get to see him later on in the game. But aside from that, it was pretty much par for the course. It's what you'd expected. But I think there was quite a few decent performances in there. You mentioned Murray. I thought Trusty again looked fairly dependable at these moments, of course. But other than that, I thought Engels as well had a very good out, and that's what we want to see. We want to see these guys coming in and turning up. We always caveat it. You're playing at home. You're playing against Falkirk, but it was still good to see. But having a look, Joe, just for those changes, I think the big thing for me that I took away certainly was for the back line. And I think that you really realise what we've got. Possibly one of the best fullback pairings, I'd say, that we've had at the club in a long time, with you having Tierney on one side and Johnson on the other.
Yeah.
And both those guys for me are worth notable mention because I thought they put in really, really good performances. Alistair Johnson, dare I say it, is back to his best as he's ever been. Of course, gets on the score sheet and all, mate.
I know. No, listen, Johnson played a phenomenal game. And I was so impressed with him last season that it almost doesn't surprise me, this season as well. But I'm so happy with where he is. The biggest thing for me that I even said within our own sort of chat was that the cohesion was there throughout the entire team. That's how it really, really felt. Everyone knew their job and knew where they needed to be. I've somewhat felt sorry for Kenny, but his own kind of desperation showed. I think he was really, really desperate to get it in. Understandable. He wants to kind of make his mark, and he already has got one, but he was wanting to really get up that scoreboard. So I felt a wee bit sorry for him, but that just is what it is. I'm sure we'll touch on it later. As Paddy said, Dane Murray, fantastic performance from him as well. His athleticism is really showing through. So really happy with how that went. And Tierney done very, very well, I think, as well, in terms of his athleticism.
Yeah.
So we're really happy with that.
We're starting to sort of nurse Tierney back in.
Yeah.
I thought that for the period that he was on the pitch, obviously he then gets taken off. There's a trio of subs and he's one of them in our typical sort of between 65 and 70 minutes, as we always like to do. But I felt that his energy levels, Paddy, stayed at peak for most of that. We saw in the last two games, we sort of dipped maybe around that 50, 55 minutes kind of, but he managed to push it on. And if we can just sort of chip away and add an extra 10 minutes, an extra 5 minutes here and there onto it, it shouldn't be too long before we can put him right through a straight 90.
Yeah, that's it. When players come in, you see it. Match fitness and stuff like that. And we had it with Jota at the start when he came in as well. You get a good 60 minutes out of him if you were getting that, and then it was off. Rio Hatate's first couple of seasons as well. Rio was a 60-minute player. Tam Rogic as well. You look at these kind of players, they were all 60-minute players. And listen, see if you've got a player of that quality and you can have him for 60 minutes, you're jamming. And like you said, we're going to push on with Kieran, and you can see that the fitness is coming. So a Kieran Tierney at that level is going to bring us on leaps and bounds. It really is, especially going forward into the Champions League phase and things. If we've got that quality at left back going for the full 90 minutes, then that's what more can you ask for?
No, his deliveries were phenomenal as well. The way he was leading the box was absolutely phenomenal. So hats off to him.
Oh, definitely. I think that it's good to see those guys starting to really echo each other on either side. You know, at first we thought the sort of relationship, that working relationship between Dice Maeda, who's still, by the way, out on that left. Of course, he pops up with the opening goal, and I think maybe shows you why he should be through the middle, because he's in the right place at the right time. He's opportunistic. He takes his chances. But it seems that even Dyson Maeda, who we sat here and we spoke about the last performance, and the whole idea about, is he cutting a frustrated figure? Is he a guy that's sort of on the cusp of maybe leaving? We've obviously heard rumours. We'll address that sort of later on down the line there. But I felt that him and Tierney, Paddy, they seem to be on the same wavelength a wee bit. It's getting better. there was obviously, we knew that you always wanted to get Dyson in behind, and because Tierney's hitting the byline, which is something that we never really had before, he's kind of dragging him in where to go. But that's not a bad thing, because we now no longer need to just depend solely on getting in behind, punting a ball into Dyson, hoping to get in behind the defence, because we've got Tierney who can do that as well, which is going to free up Dyson and theoretically should make him a lot more dangerous than he already is.
Yeah. Aye, that's it. When you look at it, we spoke about it before, the link-up play that Dyson had with Greg Taylor and that Kuhn had with Alistair Johnson, and having that on both sides is going to be pivotal going forward. We've lacked seeing that since Kuhn's left. I think on the right-hand side, we don't have it at all. And in the first couple of games, Kieran Tierney and Dyson didn't really link up that well. But we've started to see, like you said, Dyson's cutting inside. So it's essentially giving you Dyson through the middle at most points as well, because he knows Kieran's going to go for the byline. And he knows he's going to have that overlap. So when he cuts inside, if Kieran goes for the byline, Dyson's jogging for the penalty spot, sprinting for it. Let's be honest, doesn't he jog anywhere, does he? He's bombing it for the penalty spot to try and get an effort.
He's 100 or nothing.
Aye, exactly. And that's what you want. That's what you get from him. That worked great. Absolutely brilliant.
Yeah. Oh, it's phenomenal. But, you know, that's the thing as well. What did you guys think of the... I genuinely thought that defensive, okay, they got on the score sheet. It is what it is. I felt that defensively we looked pretty assured. And one other guy that I think deserves good mention is Sinisalo. The more I see him, guys, the more I really like, and the more I feel confident that moving forward, whenever Kasper Schmeichel hangs up his gloves at the end of this season, okay, we then need to go and find another replacement, whether that's a direct replacement, similar experience level and that kind of thing, and we go down that route again, we need to go and do it. But I would be more than comfortable if you says to me, moving forward, Sinisalo is going to be our goalkeeper next season. I think, yeah, most folk would be happy with that. I think he's came in, he looks assured, he looks fairly commanding, decent enough distribution, and he's always switched on. The very few times that he was asked to actually do something in that game, he came and he done what he had to do. Sinisalo, for me, I think that he has earned the right at this moment in time, avoiding some disaster, that he will be the number one next season. And I would actually be extremely disappointed for him if Celtic were to go out and do what we've done again with Joe Hart and Kasper Schmeichel.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. His performance was phenomenal, and I've never actually been disappointed in his performances. You know that I really haven't. Yeah, the odd dodgy ball and whatnot is expected from almost any keeper. But in terms of future proofing that number one spot, yeah, I'm happy to take him on and let him free, if you will, in some of the bigger games as well, as we spoke about before. But he's really proven his worth there in the cup as well. So yeah, happy.
Yeah, I mean yourself, Paddy, with Sinisalo, do you agree with Typhoon saying there and myself? He is the future between the sticks. You know, if you turn around and says to me, look, you're going to bring in, and I know this is never going to happen, right? But just say you're going to bring in next season for 2 seasons, a seasoned vet. It's going to be a guy that you know, and you end up going and getting, I don't know, somebody like, let's just say a David De Gea type figure, right? I know he's getting on, but I mean that type figure. Part of you would go, all right, okay, yep, this has worked before, and I love the experience levels, but it is time for Celtic to also go and dig out the next best thing. Like the next Fraser Foster, you know, we brought him in. He was brought in as a loan. He then turned into a dynamite goalkeeper for us, and eventually we did sell him. But it's time for us to do that again. It's time for us to get somebody that's in the ranks, is already there, is bedded in, that can step up and actually be it. We need to stop going out and buying a new goal every 2 seasons, mate.
Aye. The thing is, Sinisalo was brought in for that. Basically, he was brought in to work under Kasper Schmeichel, who he admits was his hero growing up, which I find quite strange. He's saying like Kasper was a guy that he looked up to, and now he's getting the chance to train underneath him and learn all of that. So I feel like that's good going forward, because he's going to get all of the traits that Kasper's got. And let's be honest, he's a good teacher as well. He's Da as a teacher, probably one of the greatest goalkeepers I've seen. So going forward, I reckon the guy should be given the chance. Next season, I think you're spot on what you say, Steve. We go for somebody, again, who's a prospect. We have you don't need 2 solid goalkeepers, do you? Unless you're going to have an injury, you don't need two absolute nailers of goalkeepers. We had Bain, for God's sake. Do you know what I mean? With him sitting there, who, don't get me wrong, had a couple
Let's
of
speak
cracks.
about Bain. Aye.
Annoyingly, by the way, where did that
He was
come from?
fantastic. Where did they get that
I
from?
know he had a couple of belters, didn't he? But going forward, obviously, I think since Salo should be the number one going forward as of next year, if Casper does leave, then I think you bring somebody in to progress and learn from him.
Yeah.
So yeah, whether that's you upgrade the youth, whether you get the keeper for the B team, I'm not sure who it is at the minute. But
I think
I
think at the same time it'd be nice to also have a keeper again who is still young enough that in 2, 3, 4 seasons time we can sell on for a wee bit of money once he's done well. That would be nice again, you know. I'd like to not have a keeper, a number one who is just set to retire here, kind of thing. That would be nice. So I've not had that in a wee while.
It's kind of what we get. Yeah.
Aye.
But that's the thing. It's up for us to go and start cultivating guys that were brought in. You know, we've got plenty of guys that were brought in and have been earmarked as somebody that's, you know, got potential that can build up or, you know, is ready to hit the ground running. I certainly feel at this stage, and it was mentioned there in the comments, I think that, you know, Sinisal should be the cup goalkeeper. He should get both cups. Scottish Cup, League Cup, give Casper Schmeichel the league, give him the Champions League. Hopefully, touch wood, that's where we'll be. But give Casper Europe, give him the league, and give the cups to Sinisal. That's plenty of game time at a good competitive level, and obviously could hopefully be instrumental in leading us to some cups, and that'd be good for his confidence as well. I felt that when we got to the cup final last year, obviously a losing effort, or last season, but I felt that he had earned the right to be in sticks in that game, and I felt extremely disappointed for him. And I don't want to rewrite history, of course I don't, but you've also got to look at the optics and look at the way it panned out and says, would we have lost if Sinisal was in? Well, you've got to say possibly not, because it was a Casper Schmeichel OG, of course, but forget that. Think about those penalties. They were all unsavable because of a certain shoulder injury. So I think it's time that he gets more game time, boys.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
Again, I totally agree with that. We spoke about that going into the cup final, if you remember. If you go back and look at that, we were all saying Sinisal deserves a shot. And you're right, Steve-O. Casper had a shoulder injury. It was no secret. It was something that was put out there. Yep, his left shoulder's killing him. Put the penalties there. That's as simple as that. And that's what that come down to. I was kind of expecting one of the moments where you substitute the keepers off in the 119th minute.
Yes, I was expecting a Louis van Gaal-esque goalkeeping sub. That's what I was looking for. We were always sitting here and saying masterstroke.
Was it one of the Chelsea games? Was it that Kepa Arrizabalaga, and they tried to bring him off and he's standing shouting at the coach? He's like, I'm not getting it. I'm not coming up. Did you see Casper doing something like that? Or do you think he'd just went right?
I can also score. He come down. But there's a few other mentions that are getting put out there. Strangelove wants to talk about young Dane Murray. Said that he thought him and Trusty had a decent bit of chemistry. Where were you guys at with that makeshift centre back pairing? Firstly, Paddy, on young Dane Murray. He's been he had a decent enough pre-season. He's had one or two shaky moments for there on. But I think he's definitely shown that he's worth at least keeping around the squad. And again, as we say with Sinisal, I think cup competitions, depending on what your opposition's going to be, that's probably the perfect time to give him some minutes. And when we look at what we got, for example, Partick Thistle in the next round in the quarters, why not another game where you bring in a Dane Murray and give him game time? Hopefully by that time, the likes of Simpson Pusey's maybe up, maybe throw him in there as well. But I like what I've seen so far of Dane Murray. I said something when I was watching another podcast, not so many folk agreed with me, but I saw shades in him of a young McManus / a young John Kennedy at the time. Still very raw, but similarities. And one thing he has done is he's taken care of himself over the summer. He's came back a much burlier lad. He looks a lot stronger. And the main thing for him was injuries. So hopefully he can get some game time and kick on for there. It'd be good to get something coming out of that youth system, wouldn't it?
Oh, definitely. He's a big lad. Do you know what I mean? He holds himself well. He looks comfortable on the ball. He's good going forward. He can get on the end of a cross, which, listen, I thought hell was going to freeze over Steve with a corner. We scored for a corner. Write it down. Stick it in the books, man. This is something that doesn't happen. Honestly, like
from good old angles.
Oh, I know.
The
Listen,
angles as well. You go,
excellent
is it
delivery.
Paddy? Come on. That's it. Right,
But
come on. Bring more of it. Bring more of the positivity. Let's go.
no, that's it. Listen, we've got somebody in that box that's going to get on the end of crosses now. You can say what you want about Carter Vickers. He's brilliant. He does this, he does that, blah, blah.
He's
Doesn't
the
get on the end of
smallest
crosses.
big guy ever, isn't he?
Aye, the fridge. I mean, it's just like a fridge. He's not an American fridge. He's a British fridge. He's a wee tiny
He's an
fridge.
under-counter fridge. He's
An under-counter fridge, we'll call him.
Short and stocky.
But for these lads, I want your defenders to score goals. Like when we got Shane Duffy up here, I thought he was going to score 10 goals a season. Do you know what I mean? Because he was one of the guys that attacked the ball in the box. And
Well,
Duffy's
start off on goal scoring run, remember?
Exactly. And Murray's of a similar type player. So it's brilliant to see a young defender getting a chance in there and taking it. I think he done nothing wrong. I thought he held himself really, really well. And going forward, I would be quite happy just to play him. Not even in the cups, in the league, I'd play him. I think he's a really decent option, better than what we've let go.
That's the thing. I mean, you've got to also ask the question. We've still got guys like Welsh sliding
on
about. There's been
right.
chat. Obviously, him going down to the likes of Preston, and it's a long shout for Udinese and that was getting linked with
every
before,
time that Stephen Welsh gets somebody inquires about him, he gets injured, so he can stay at Celtic. I think he just likes being a Celtic player. Do you know what I mean?
Jumps off his balcony.
All my ankles away. Do you know what I mean? He's one of them.
I mean, did you see with Dane Murray? I thought he looked steady enough, but again, we come back to it. We're all kind of hoping that we're going to get something in the way of a left back or a versatile guy that can play left or right back, because Inamura, for example, was just absolutely nowhere to be seen. We were all rather impressed at the early stages of what we've seen, but he does absolutely nowhere to be seen, the lesser seen. And I think that maybe shows you how cutthroat Brendan Rodgers has been with this squad, because he said that he was, a club signing, for his words. We were going to assess him, one for the future, a player for further down the line. And all chat was it was going to be on loan. We see him and we go, oh, wow, this is brilliant. But I think that's where the expert eye maybe comes in, because we sit here and we can sort of be positive. And as we always say, we comment on what we saw with our eyes for that sort of 90 minutes, 70 minutes, 80 minutes, but he's nowhere to be seen on the pitch. So maybe he is going to end up going to be going out on loan, as was initially supposed to be the plan with him. But it just makes you question the likes of, as we said, Welsh. Where do we go with him? He's sitting about there. Can Dane Murray keep himself in the sort of squad, on a match day squad? Can he get himself in there? Because there's also talk of Trusty moving on, whether that's just rumour and innuendo or not. It'll be interesting to see how it pans out, because we definitely need, despite the positives, Joe, we need more defensive cover. I would argue that we do need a centre half and a left back cover.
Yeah, no, I totally agree. Dane Murray, he played really, really well, as we spoke about, and I think he was actually out to prove a point, because he did seem to have that hunger, and this time he was out. He was not afraid. I felt the last couple of times he was a bit afraid to kind of charge forward and a bit afraid to run into the midfield, Whereas this time I just felt like he had total control, total confidence over it. He looked great over the ball. And as Paddy said, confidence even to run up, get yourself in the box and go for it. Why not? You're a 6'2" or whatever lad. So 100%, get it done. And stranger things have happened. So yeah, really happy with how he performed. The link up with Trusty was good. I would say that I was not as confident in Trusty actually as what I was in Dane Murray. If someone was coming, 100%.
Yeah.
If someone was coming down the left side, I was more confident that Dane was going to stop them than I was that Trusty was, because Trusty loves that good old kick back to the keeper, the risky one.
See on that, Joe, because it was something that myself and Paddy discussed with Paul John Dykes when we were on the Axel show. We spoke about Trusty, and we spoke about how when you look at his best games in a Celtic shirt, they've typically been against what you would class to be better opposition, right?
Yeah.
But where do you fight? Where's the fine margin on that? Where's the line to be drawn? Because with no disrespect to the league that we're in, the vast majority of teams you play against aren't great opposition. You probably argue this season, you say, looking at so early stages, Hearts, Aberdeen, who we did play, Hibs, and Rangers, no matter what you say about it. And that's probably what you're going to look at
The
as
top,
being
yeah.
the teams that are going to be causing you much problems. So that's a lot of random garbage games in there as well. And the big man, yeah, I agree. I felt he looked steady enough at points, but not without his shakes. And it's how long does particularly for somebody in that position, how long does somebody like Trusty get to really show I am bang 100%? Because we look at Narotsky, very small sample size indeed, but the manager let him go on and move on when you could argue that Narotsky was actually more consistent for as little game time as he played, but still get punted.
Do you know what it is for me? I think he's one of these players that kind of fades into the background, especially when the team are doing very, very well. When everyone else is pushing forward, doing fantastic. I'm not saying he falls away from them or anything like that. What I mean is he just doesn't do anything spectacular, but he also doesn't do anything too disastrous. So he's somewhere right in the middle there. So he's kind of forgotten about at that back corner. And whether it's that Brendan doesn't see half of the play that he does because he's hiding behind folk or something, I don't know. But it's the way that it can feel sometimes where I'm sitting there going, this is absolute garbage. Like, what's he doing? Why is he passing it back for there? There's miles of room. Run it up. You've got all that space. But maybe the manager doesn't see that as easily as we do, you know. So it's a difficult one where I think that as you speak about the fine margins between he plays fantastic or he has played fantastic in some of the bigger teams, the bigger opposition. Brilliant, great, but why aren't those performances consistently flying through him then? Why isn't it always the same?
I mean, bearing in mind what Joe's just said there, Paddy, throw that out to yourself and what McLaughlin's bringing up here and Strangelove's talking about it. You know, Strangelove's on the much like I said, that he looks like he's had a good pre-season, and I would agree with that. I thought that he was one guy in pre-season, Trusty, that really showed that he can contribute and he can play well. But we always talk about it's about carrying that form on. Now, I know that no player will be perfect every single game. Absolutely, it just doesn't happen at the level of players that we've got. And at a club like Celtic, it just doesn't. You don't get a flawless performance every single game. But Strangelove thinks he's going to change a few minds. I would like to agree with that if he is kept about, of course. McLaughlin's saying, you know, only Wednesday night can answer that. Do you think that is Trusty in with a shout to start against Kairat and part of CCV?
Aye, of course he is. That's your two main defensive. That's your two main players. You look at it. Pre-season, I thought Trusty was absolutely brilliant. Never really put a foot wrong. I understand what Joe's saying with the passing back to the keeper and things like that can be quite clumsy sometimes, but he's probably got the best turn of pace out of all defenders as well, which you're going to need when you go into Europe and you're coming up against these guys. Yes, like you said before, Steve, Kairat aren't going to be the best team that we've ever come up against, but you'd fully expect Carter Vickers and Trusty to be the two main starters in there, possibly a bench for young Dane Murray. I'd like to see that.
Well, I think that Wednesday night for me is probably a game that you go and play Trusty. I think you need to. You know, are Kairat going to be a fantastic side? No, they're not. But it's going to be a different level now. People might say, "Oh, you're being flippant there." It could be a banana skin, and of course, it could. We've been beat in qualifiers by terrible teams before. But I reiterate, we are playing a team here with a lower European coefficient than St Mirren, St Johnstone, and Kilmarnock. I don't know what you want me to say.
There should be no excuse.
I know that can go for nothing. There should be absolutely no excuse. If Celtic cannot beat Kairat Almaty over two legs, and doing so in the first leg comfortably, then we deserve absolutely nothing. Nothing. And the people in charge need their asses scalped if we fail to get past this. That is all I'm going to say on it bluntly. But coming back to it, that's why we should play Trusty. Because give him a chance in a European game to partner Carter Vickers, where it should be a bit better quality of a game, and do that. But as people are saying, there can't drop Scales. It's a wee bit of an old pals act. Scales has been steady. Yes, again, he has his shakes, but this is the problem. Neither of them have really turned around and been like, oh my God, that guy needs to play. There's big questions coming into Wednesday, guys.
I disagree with that. Scales was phenomenal the other day. Absolutely phenomenal. And was one of the best players on the pitch when he came on, 100%. So
I get what you're saying,
do.
Joe, when you're talking about it, because Scales goes forward. Scales he likes to drive. He's a defender that likes to push out, and Trusty would rather do the safe option and go back to the keeper or play it across to someone else. So I see what you're getting at there, but as a defensive player, I would much rather have Trusty in the box. He's better at getting rid of high balls. He's better at dealing with stuff in the air, and I think he's got a better turn of pace than both Scales and obviously Dane Murray as well. So going on
what
that,
I would say though is that see the pace that's going to come from some of our Champions League should we make it rivals. That's the scary thing for me, because when Trusty does his pass backs, whatever else it may be, he takes one fumble, and that's it. Whereas Scales is happy to run out and exactly. So
Carter Vickers made the mistake, yeah.
It just takes that one fumble for them to chase it down in 2 seconds flat, because some of these players are world class and just haven't been noticed yet, or haven't been at the top tier teams yet. So yeah, that's the scary thing for me personally.
Yeah. Well, that's a good thing. That's a good point here as well. Staying top spring, and this is what's really, really important. See, now that we've got KT in there, now we've got Tierney playing at left back. I hate saying that you can get away with things, because you never want to get away with things. But for me, it doesn't really make too much of a difference if it's Trusty or Scales. I really don't, because we know that Carter Vickers and Alistair Johnson are solid across the right. In the left, you've got Kieran Tierney. The guy that's in the middle is going to have adequate cover for his left and his right. Yeah. So it's really just how you want to play it. But anyway, listen, we shall move on to that, because I think we're sort of digressing and down a wee rabbit hole. But I thought there was plenty of sort of positives throughout the team. One of the guys that you mentioned was Arne Engels. Again, somebody else that we spoke about throughout the week there. Arne Engels, again, he's been out the team, and probably rightfully so, because Benjamin Negrin's come in. He's looked really, really positive. He's looked strong. Hatati's been on good for him. But it was rewards for McCowan's good performances he started. And again, as I say, you're looking at a cup game. So he brings in Arne Engels. I thought Arne Engels was very, very good. I thought that he looked like a guy who was far more driven in that match. He was constantly looking for a ball. He was coming to receive. He was scanning about. He was playing in some good deliveries. And as you say, we get a goal off a corner. I think that was a good outing for Arne Engels. The big question, isn't it, something that you had said, Paddy, where we were talking about him? He says he's probably more the guy that you play in Europe. Kaira Armati, not going to be elite level opposition. Does Arne Engels go straight into that one, mate, after what he did against Falkirk?
I would think so. Like I said, I think he's more suited to the European style of football. When we signed Arne Engels, obviously we got rid of Matt O'Reilly. And I said there straight away, and I've continued to say it, Arne Engels is not a direct replacement for Matt O'Reilly. No. It couldn't have been. It was nowhere near that level when he first came in. And he plays a different type of football to the way Matt O'Reilly did. Benji Negrin's come in here and he started playing similar to the way we expected Engels to play. He's playing a kind of Matt O'Reilly role, and it's working out for Negrin that way. But going in against a team like Kaira Almaty that we don't know a lot about, I think you need your defensively minded midfielders, your guys that are going to dig in, your guys that are going to do the grit. And we've said it before, Engels likes to do the dirty work. He sometimes goes unnoticed in games because he's doing the shit stuff. He's all the shit stuff. He's going in basically sweeping up and doing the stuff that nobody really wants to do, the stuff that doesn't really matter. We know he's got a cracking delivery. There's
a lot of control, and he'll sweep up loose balls and he'll do wee short passes and he'll just get things ticking over. Yeah. As we know, he can play a world of a pass every now and then, but I agree, Paddy, sometimes it does go a wee bit unnoticed. And again, as people are rightfully saying, a lot of the fans will absolutely scold folk because of price tags, and they think, well, because of that price tag, he needs to have his foot on the ball every 2 seconds and doing stuff. Sorry for interjecting there, Paddy, but I totally agree with you. I totally agree with what I've seen from him. I like that.
It's not like me to praise him, as everybody on here knows. I'm one of the guys that's held him to the price tag. When he come in, I expected so much more, and I still do. I still expect a lot from him. And I thought, obviously, there was flashes of it there. He had a good performance, but like you said, Steve, we're playing against Falkirk. Now we're going to be up against Kaira Almaty, which isn't, again, phenomenal opposition, but we still want a cracking performance, and I think we'll get that from him. I think he will start. I think going in there, your midfield's going to be McGregor, Engels, and Hatati.
Well, Joe, can we talk a wee bit about the attacking? Because we get ourselves, it's a 4-1 win, right? It's fairly comfortable. But I certainly felt that the one thing that you did realise, and we're flogging a dead horse here, right? We don't look too potent up front, to
For the
put it
strikers,
lightly.
no,
Now,
yeah.
Maeda, as I say, proves why he should be playing through the middle. And I know that it's just a drift in. He's in the right position at the right time and he kills it. Johnny Kenny, fresh off a new contract extension, which I must admit I found to be quite a strange one, gets the nod. As always, plenty of energy, plenty of running about. It's the old cliche. Did it look like he was trying too hard? He was desperate to score. He was desperate to make an impression. Or is it maybe just a case of, well, he is just an all right player. He's just an average player. And yeah, he may score. But as you think about the amount of minutes that he's had on the pitch playing so far, going back to last season and whatnot, he has had a lot of time on the pitch. Well, I say a lot.
Yeah.
From where he came from to what he got, surprisingly more minutes on the pitch than you would have expected.
Yeah.
And as I say, the one thing I can't take away from him is great energy. And he looks like he's got something to offer. But I just don't think it is as being the man that's going to score the goals.
Yeah, as I said at the start there, I thought he looked just extremely desperate to get the goal, no matter what, and that he was willing to sacrifice his body to do so, yeah, for me, I think it's far too early to write him off, certainly. We've not seen enough of his performances, despite talking about minutes versus goals and everything like that. Is a statistic that I absolutely hate in any case, because those don't read into, right, what was the opposition like? Was it someone like St Johnstone or Falkirk or whatever? Was it what you would class as a lower grade team? So I don't really always agree with those kind of things, because you could even just have a phenomenal performance from any keeper in one match and it ruins it. So for me, it's all about the energy that you put onto the pitch. He still shows that he's got a lot of energy for it. He's up for the chase. He's, as I say, desperate to get those goals in. So the performance wasn't a bad one in my book. He just couldn't put it over the finish line.
This maybe sounds daft, Joe, but with Kenny, we know from his time at Shamrock that he can score goals, right? And he's proven that. Different teams, different systems, different expectations. Sometimes you can be a lot more potent, a lot more comfortable.
Yeah.
See all the things that we praise Kenny for, and some folk are saying, it's McLaughlin saying there, naming a bunch of absolute plankton that played at Celtic that ran about and tried like hell, right? Absolutely. But what I mean is when you look at Kenny, he's quite good at ball winning. He puts in a tackle. He's quite strong. He's good at carrying the ball. He's good at getting you up the pitch. He's good at kind of linking up play. So what I'm going to suggest is, if he's getting kept about, he's on a 4-year contract, could he be used for something else? Now, I'm not necessarily saying like as a winger, but I'm just saying like as a...
Not a striker.
Not a striker. In behind the striker is like a kind of supply type of guy, because I see a lot of really good attributes in it. Like, see when people criticise Adamida, right? It's like bad touch, not very good at dribbling, carrying the ball, very poor when he wants to tackle, so on and so forth, right? See if you could give Adamida all those bits, right, that Johnny Kenny's got.
Yeah.
With, all right, I know at times we've criticised his finishing, but generally he's like a better finisher than Johnny Kenny, let's be honest, right? You'd have a better player as Adamida. But is there not some way that we can use him in a different way to support whoever the main striker is? Because he does a lot of good stuff, and sometimes you just need a good foil. You need a good guy that can carry the ball, hold it up, lay it off, and I think he can do that. He looks like he can do that.
Being honest, I actually had the thought the other night that instead of being subbed off, he should have been swapped into McCowan's position.
Right.
Because I didn't feel like McCowan put in a good performance at all, really. I thought it was just very, very mediocre, which is what I've been thinking for a long time with him now. He did, show a bit more energy at least. which is good and has been what I've kind of asked for really, but it just didn't go anywhere. You know, they didn't make an impact at all. I think if he was off the pitch completely, the game wouldn't have been any different.
Yeah.
So for me, maybe as you're saying there, if there was a possibility to change him into something, that might be somewhere that could be his home. You know, but it's the opinion of a daft guy on YouTube, isn't it? So
There you go. And I'm going to hold you to account and say you're a daft guy, because the comments do not agree with you. They're all
I bet they
thinking that
don't.
McCown was good. I've got to admit, Paddy, I know you like McCown. I thought he was steady enough. Was he
Steady
tearing up
enough.
trees? No,
But is
this
that
is
good
the
enough?
point. But it's not bad though. It's not
I'm
bad.
not.
As I
And I
say there,
said that.
not
I
everybody can
said
be an
that.
absolute
I said it
dynamite
wasn't a
every game.
bad performance. It just didn't make an impact.
Yeah. Well,
That's the way I see
Paddy,
it.
just to finish up on Kenny, a few comments are coming in here now. First is obviously getting asked, Typhoon's saying, can we afford to let him go with how light we are up front? So think of that in your mind, but also think of this. Strangelove saying, if we're going to get him out on loan, get him out on loan in Scotland. Aberdeen, they look like they've got a big plank of wood up front. I'm sure they might be doing with a Johnny Kenny or sort of team similar to that. But, you see the young boy Bowie at Hibs, looks like a good player, looks like he could be dangerous this season. So when you look at somebody like how he's doing playing at Hibs, there's no reason why you couldn't lend out Kenny. I think it needs to be a decent SPFL team. There's no point in firing them into something absolute garbage. I think maybe Motherwell, the way they're playing, they look quite expansive. Could work at Motherwell, could work at Aberdeen. What do you think of those two ones? Firstly, do you think they can afford to let them go? And if they do, where would you put them?
I don't think we can afford to. That's the problem. We've got Adam Ida, Yamada, and Kenny, and Ida hasn't done enough in anybody's opinion. Let's be honest. Yamada we haven't seen enough of. Looks good in flashes, but again, a couple of chances on Friday night and didn't really set the header alight. Kenny, for me, I'm hoping that he's one that Tisdale's got a hold of and said that we can maybe adapt him into a winger, like you're saying there, Steve. I think he's one that there is a possibility there. He's got a decent turn of pace on him. He can control the ball. Don't really know if he can cross it or if he's any good there, but what do you need? What do you realistically need for your wingers? Dyson Maeda showed us that. All you need is a good bit of pace and a hell of a work rate. And we'll stick you on the wing. So if Kenny can give you that, then I think it might be one. That's why the new deals come in. Maybe the doctor has decided that he's going to adapt him and make him into a new winger. Speaking about McCown, I thought McCown was all right. Again, didn't do much wrong. I understand what Joe's saying. Obviously, he's wanting him to be either on a score sheet or getting assists and things like that and pressing forward all the time. But I thought he had a nice, comfortable game. Didn't really give the ball away much. Didn't do much wrong. So going forward, like as long as they're not doing anything wrong, I'm quite happy. I'm not going to really call them out for that.
Yeah. Well, that's it. To finish up on it, we bring on Shin Yamada, and it was quite a strange one because I felt a wee bit sorry for him. He just didn't get himself too much on the ball. He had very, very little opportunity.
Yang showed him up, that's why.
To really feature. We bring on Yang, the Yang again. But I thought, well, he comes on, instant impact. Up to that stage, we've basically touched on the goals briefly. I think first we've just got to say that the first one's opportunistic. Great to see Maeda in the right place. The second one was pretty much fantastic. Excellent for Alistair Johnson. Just topped off a brilliant performance. Hopefully he can chip in with a few more goals. Of course, we spoke about the rarity that is a goal from a corner from big Dane Murray. And the last one is fashioned by Yang. Comes on nice and direct, and it's a wee deflection in at the back of the net. So happy days there. In terms of the guys that came on, obviously you mentioned Yang there. He gets himself on the pitch. As the scale, Shin Yamada doesn't really get too much. Bernardo gets a wee bit of time as well. I thought out them all, the guys that come on, Yang's the guy that really sort of put his foot down and tried to contribute in angles. The rest was really just about stabilising the game that was already done.
We spoke about this the other night, Steve, as well, and we kind of made the joke on Axom about the Yang gang, saying we were going to get T-shirts made and stuff like that. I think we should do it, mate. This is it. We're on a fortune here. This young laddie
I'm not
is
doing it. You go and do it. You waste your money on it. I'm not doing it.
telling you, I'm going to make up
Paddy, me
t-shirts
and
for the
you.
Yang Gang. Aye.
Yep.
Every time he comes on, he's making an impact. When he starts a game, he's guff. He does nothing. But when he comes on, he's an impact player for me. Obviously, he stayed about the squad, and we've mentioned it before as well about Brendan must see something in him. He must have something there, or Yang's got something over him to stay at the club. But for me, he keeps coming on, and he keeps giving you these wee snippets of what he can do. And if you can imagine getting that type of impact, that type of player for a full 90 minutes, then there's your winger problem solved. Yeah, we still do need a couple of ones in, but if Yang's going to do that and come on and start pushing and driving and like getting balls into the box, then he'll make a claim for it.
Yeah, definitely. Well, before we crack on and talk about getting your comments here, we're going to move on and we'll talk about the would-be transfer rumours. We know we're bored of that, but there's one last thing that I want to put to you guys, want to talk about and bring out, was the fan-based issues inside the stadium at this game. It's all sort of coming out. It's a wash on social media. Very, very strange move, I think, from the club. The one thing that we've spoke about is massive disconnect between the fan base and the powers that be, those that run it. And communication, above all, has been, let's be honest, no other way of saying it, piss poor for the longest period of time. And in case people aren't familiar with this, when you went into certain areas of the concourse, it was not like Harris fencing, a wee bit more solid than Harris fencing. These sort of big aluminium barriers that were cut across the concourse and spread out at various areas. There was large amounts of stewards lined in lines, basically like cordoned lines, standing about, and they were asking people to show them their ticket from what section they were in and sort of divert them, trying to stop that. No, so if you go into Celtic Park, for example, and you go to the pie stand and it's absolutely mobbed, and you think, well, I maybe want to go to Smoky Trotters, and you walk a couple of different, vomitories down, and you go down to there and you hang about bigger breakout area, or I prefer the food down that section, or whatever it may well be. The movement in the concourse wasn't there. It was very much blocked out, and there was a lot of issues around it where people were saying, for example, that they were maybe there with a friend or a partner or whatever, and maybe one person was carrying the tickets in their wallet or something like that. Once they get back into the stadium, sat down, they went down the toilet and they went back, says, "Where's your ticket?" They've got it in there, caused all sorts of problems, all sorts of communication issues, and it was, just to put it lightly, a clusterfuck. What's your thoughts on this, Paddy? Like, first and foremost, I think communication in these situations above all is there, but strange move it seems with the club, certainly not to make fans aware of what they can expect when they're going into this situation.
Yeah, I've seen snippets of what it should have been, but for me, is it to try and stop folks sneaking in? Because I know like a couple of young laddies down here obviously like to sneak into the games now and again, and the only place you can really go is down towards the standing section because they can't really tell if you've got a seat in there or not. Everybody can kind of squeeze in. So I don't know whether it's been trying to combat that or whether it's just been one of the things where I don't know, are they just doing it to be arsey? For me, it's something that, again, it should have been communicated out. It should have been put out there to the fans. And like you say, Steve, if me and you're going to a game and I've got the tickets, and you go away to the toilet and you're coming back and they're not letting you up to your seat because you don't have your ticket on you, that's a bit shit, to say the least. You know what I mean? It's not really what you want to hear.
I think the one thing that I would say is, obviously, punches the game, and he says it was a disgrace, said that fans were treated with contempt. I think this is the biggest issue that we've got. I think the board really need to be doing everything they possibly can do to get the fans on side to the best of their abilities, because they're not doing it with what their lack of transfers are. But if you're going to put in something as drastic as this, then you need to let people know. Now, I will caveat that, as we always do, we like to try and be fair and balanced here. I maybe would say, yep, we've all dealt with stewards or, where it is, people in shops or security, wherever, in all walks of life that are poor at communicating, arsey, a bit standoffish, Joe, a bit awkward. Now, what I would say is in the largest, sense, these people that are put there, stewards, they're just told that they've got a job to do, right?
Yeah.
So I know maybe there's a bit of back and forward in the way that they speak. It ends up going sour and going a bit south. But at the end of the day, it isn't really their fault. They're told, stand here, don't let people through, check tickets, do X, Y, and Z. Yes, they should be doing it in a better way. But at the same time, I kind of feel a wee bit sorry for them because you know what it's going to be like. But at the same time, Joe, my information that's been passed is that the stewards didn't even really seem to have clear direction, which just makes it far more frustrating. A lot of people are saying, aside for these issues, when the stewards were getting asked why it's happening or whatever the procedures were, they didn't seem to know. So that's not just a communication issue from the club, it's also communication for the stewarding company or whoever it is to do it, to not brief these people appropriately, so that if you or I come up to them and say, why can't I get through here? Well, here's why, blah, 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 blah. And maybe that makes it a wee bit easier.
I suppose the big thing, like you say, these folk are only doing their job, the same as you or I or Paddy. You know, we're told what to do and we do it, and it's as simple as that, because it's not worth risking anything there. We don't know the ins and outs as to why these barriers were fully put in place. There could have been anything, and I'm talking extremes here to the smallest. It could have been there was a bloody bomb threat. It could have been there was a high-profile celebrity, something like that just none of us would ever get the chance to see. So these kind of things can also happen last minute. These kind of things can also happen extremely last minute as well. As those who are in that kind of industry, I'm sure, would know, people who are in stewarding, police, or anything along those kind of lines. These things can happen last minute, and when they happen last minute, the communication does break down eventually, because it's like Chinese whispers sometimes throughout the entire team. So I totally understand people that were badly, maybe talked to in a bad way or anything like that. I do feel sorry for you as well, but I also feel sorry for the stewards who are put in that position with little information. It's a difficult one.
I think the general consensus seems to be, Paddy, that is to stop migration from people without a ticket into either the boys section or into the North Coventry GB section without obviously meant to be there. Now, we'd be lying to ourselves if we sat there and said that we weren't aware that there was previous issues with overcrowding and general. I know people don't like it. Oh, don't know what's saying that, but health and safety and stuff like that. There has been issues. Let's not kid ourselves on, right? But again, it's about how you do it, isn't it? It's about how you do it. And these barriers now, that's a random Friday night against Falkirk in the cup, right? So see if it's going to be happening for a Champions League, qualifying tie, vital tie. They better come out and address it. Now, I know that the fan liaison, got to feel sorry for him because he's a one-man show. That should be we said this before, this should be a team of fan liaisons. But he's one guy and he's taking us all on his plate and trying to take all the flack and all the fan pressure, and he's raised the concerns and hopefully he'll get back to it. But the clock's ticking, mate. We're hitting Wednesday. There's going to be little to no away fans, let's be honest here. But there'll be a good turnout inside the stadium for our own fans. Something like this is going to happen. We need to learn quickly for these bloody mistakes that were made at the weekend.
Yeah, totally. And like Kaiser says there, I reckon it will happen. I reckon it's one of the things that's it's been trialled on Friday night. Maybe it's a scare tactic to just say, listen, this going forward is going to be how things are run now. So going into Wednesday night, I would fully expect it to be the same.
Mm-hmm. Well, hopefully it's not. But anyway, guys, let's get into the more pressing matters, because we know that ship sailed. Wednesday in the squad that we've got, that's what it is. That's what you're going to have to take on Kyra Almaty, whether you like it or not. I think we've got enough in the tank, as I said earlier on. If we cannot beat a team of that ilk, then we deserve absolutely nothing. But we are desperate for those reinforcements. Now, what was interesting, we went from the manager saying sort of very peculiar, we say cryptic or whatever way you want to put it, sort of statements. He was coming out, hitting the board in the rows. I can't magic up players. I know that I need players. Hopefully we'll get players, so on and so forth. And then even the quip off, there's maybe some people that don't want me at this club. Who was he talking about? Is he talking about the press? Is he talking about the media? Is he talking about internal? We then saw the madness that was the Benjamin Seagrass story. So we know that things aren't perfect behind the scenes and how we deal with transfers. Well, it's out the way, coming in the way, but the transfers have been swirling in the rumours. And I just want to start right at the top. Don't want it to happen. Hopefully it'll never happen, but it's the Dyson Maeda thing. Now, start with yourself on this one, Joe. The rumours came out. There was a publication from Japan, guide about 40,000 followers, freelance, based in Japan. Fukimitsu F is the account, and he had said that the rumour mill was that Celtic are willing to entertain sales of Maeda, and if they do, they will pivot and they will focus their attention on another guy for the J League, which is Mirashimo, that's playing at Vitel Kobe. Now, this one is kind of interesting, came a wee bit out of nowhere. Now, what I will say is, we were contacted by two independent people. Now, I'm not sitting here and trying to say we're in the know, absolutely not. Neither do we know that these people claiming to be are in the know. We're not going to say it. So we're not going to say the people's names. They are accounts, they're out there, people have heard of them. But we wouldn't say that because ultimately, as we know, on doing this, people just want to jump over you. So if someone says something and they're wrong, they'll get attacked and they'll take a lot of shite. We're not wanting to do that. But the reason I'm bringing this up is we were contacted by two independent people saying, blah, 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 blah. Celtic are very much going to look at selling Maeda post-Champions League qualifier, similar to Kyogo, right? Now, that actually was about 2 days before this story that I'm talking about here came out. Now, could that just be mad coincidence? Well, of course it could. But I just find it interesting, worth mentioning, because I often believe that there's no smoke without fire. I think that we should be keeping Maeda. I think it would be suicidal to let Maeda go from Celtic at any stage. I think even if you bring in another striker. But the chat was that it could be anywhere between the range of sort of 22 to 25 plus million pounds for him.
Yeah.
Talk to me. Can Celtic afford to dice with the future Maeda? 2 years left in his contract. We wanted to extend it. There was a chat last season saying, I'm happy right now. I want to finish our season. And it's all fell silent. Does that silence worry you, or are you confident the big man's going to be here?
If anything, actually, the silence makes me a bit more confident that he's going to be here. You know, I'm not saying that these other accounts are unreliable in any sort of way. Sometimes they are, sometimes they're not. It just is what it is. But you can't take on board a lot of what anyone is saying at this point in time unless the club come out and make it official by any stretch of the imagination, because there's always going to be rumours of the best players leaving for somewhere at any team. I'm sure that if you or I or Paddy were followers of, say, Chelsea or something daft like that, there would be a million different rumours of their best striker and everything leaving, and it's for this figure and that figure. As you say, with the figures being so far out between each other as well, 22 to 25 plus million, I'm sorry, but I just don't buy it. I believe he is happy here. I believe Brendan absolutely trusts and believes in him as well. He strikes me as someone, ironically, who is committed to the moment that he's in, though. That's the only thing that would worry me, is that he's always given 100% performance no matter who he's playing for and where he is. So you can't really say, oh, well, his performance this weekend means that he's definitely staying and everything like that.
Yeah. I mean, it's mixed.
It's not a 50-50 for me. It's not a 50-50 for me. I'm 90% sure that he's going nowhere. 10% of me worries that he will. Whereas with Kyogo, I was going, he's a goner. He's a goner, you know. So
I mean, what's interesting, Paddy, is so people are saying, like Punch is saying, for example, this has been rubbish by Liam Carrigan at Axel, lives in Japan,
Yeah.
and he says they're nonsense. Now, I don't know Liam personally. I know that he does some excellent work. He puts out a great blog for Axel. I'm not here to discredit his credentials, but at the same time, what I would say is, I believe that he also didn't think that Kyogo was going to leave.
Yeah.
So that's just me saying broadly. That's no disrespect to Liam. As I says, I think he does some excellent work, but at the same time, I don't think that because you live out in Japan necessarily means that you know it. Like, I know that the Japanese media and that out there are very invested in their players, particularly when they're looking at the squad, how well are they doing, so on and so forth. So they might speak about them more, but at the same time, I don't think that, like, if you've got I don't know, if you've got a random German that's playing over in France, for talking's sake, that everybody in Germany knows about what he's going to be doing and where he's going to be moving. I just think that it's came up enough times. I've got to agree with you, Joe. I think that he seems like a happy guy. Other people are saying, Kieran saying that apparently he said that he would like to investigate doing a new deal, and he believes him. I'd love to think that. I do. I just feel that this is one that really, really, really should have got put to bed nice and early for Celtic. I know there was that idea, Paddy, where he says, I just want to focus on closing out the season, meaning the cup final. And then there's a wee bit of downtime. But see, as soon as they were brought back in, I would have liked to have seen him sitting down and thrashing out his future in the same way that I wanted that for the manager. And I really thought that was how Celtic were going to start this summer transfer window, with a good news story. Kieran Tierney in the door, the manager signs an extension, Maeda signs an extension, and I'm going on experience here as a fan with my head. My head tells me that Celtic will sell him, and they'll be looking to sell him. Why? I haven't got a bloody clue why, but just in past experiences, I'm torn. My head's saying to me they will look to sell him, and he might well go. And I've kind of made my peace with that, even though I really hope it's not the case. But yeah, I just, where are you at with it, Paddy? Are you confident?
If the right bid comes in, Celtic will let him go. It's as simple as that. We've seen it so many times. I said if we didn't make it into Europe, if Kairat got past us and knocked us down into the Europa, then Celtic would sell a big asset. And our biggest asset in a minute is Dyson Maeda. So I think if a bid comes in upwards of 27 million, roughly around about that, and it had been rumoured that that's what the bid was, then I think he'd be gone, and it would break our hearts because we don't have a replacement for it. And when we spoke about it before, Steve, you'd said, yeah, it would be a massive loss, but if you already had in the door a striker and two other wingers, would you be quite happy to cash in on Dyson Maeda? Yes, you would. But
I wouldn't necessarily say happy. I wouldn't say happy.
No, of course, but
I would say that if we had sufficient coverage,
you'd feel
if
less
we
shit.
shot back and with another two good quality wingers in, and another good quality, like proper bona fide top class striker, then what it would do is it would alleviate that. It's not going to make you feel better about it, but it'll make you go, right, okay, we're well covered. But this is the problem. It's not just the fear, it's double-edged, because it's the fear you let him go, but then you roll the dice, because look, if we're going to get a striker in, look at the date, it's the 17th, right? The clock's ticking down. Whoever the striker may well be, if you bring them in, it's going to be the last minute.
Yeah, and to bring them up to speed with the team is going to be horrific. It's not going to work. So
it's what we do. We've done it so many times before, and you go out there and you bring in the last minute. That's why we ended up overpaying for Arnie Engels, Adamida, guys like that, and we're going to do the exact same thing again. You think they'd learn for these things, but they clearly haven't. And if it's coming into this stage of the Champions League qualifiers and things, and we're looking at losing our main asset, it just shows you the way the club is. We know we're a selling club. We know we get players in, we help them progress, and then we sell them on for a massive profit, basically. And that's what we've done over the last wee while. So I can't. I'm kind of the other side of what Joe's saying. I'm not 90% sure. If a good bid comes in, I'm 90% sure Celtic will accept it.
Nah,
and it breaks my heart to say that. It really does.
Well, the thing is, I think we need to put them through the middle. And
Aye.
I've said before, see if we give him what he wants with a view I'm looking to get in that World Cup squad, playing through the middle, give him increased terms, even something just like a 1-year extension so it pumps it up to 3 years, because we
Yeah.
always say he's probably the optimum period to sell at this moment in time. By that, I don't mean as in, he's ran his course, he's ran his race, he's ready to go. I just mean 2 years. Once you start getting inside 1 year, value instantly drops, so on and so forth. We're looking, well, I expect us to be in the Champions League. So we're at a really sort of tight point. If Celtic were to agree a 1-year extension, and that's simply on the premise of you're going to leave at the end of this season, or even, God forbid, in January, right, when most of the season's done in the Champions League, you've really kicked on in it, then you could maybe swallow that as long as you're getting the reinforcements. But I think Celtic really need to be looking at protecting this asset. I think that would be, it would give you an indication if he still took on a contract extension. If he took on a contract extension, I'd be a great believer to say, yes, he's definitely away at the end of this season, but protect that asset there. But we know that we need attacking reinforcements, and the one that keeps coming about, Paddy, I'm fed up of saying the guy's name. Who am I going to say?
Strelic.
No, Balikwisha, so close.
Balikwisha, sorry.
He's in there as well. It came around. He was meant to be going to League One or League One, right? And it all fell silent. He's now started the season at Antwerp. He's playing very well. And the word on the street is that Celtic are 100% going to sign him. But when they qualify for the Champions League, I mean, come on, seriously.
I know. We're waiting on the Champions League money because we're a wee bit skint now.
I know.
So I mean, we've only got about 100 million sitting there, so I will wait till after we qualify for the Champions League. We're guaranteed that other 40 million we'll go out there and spend 70 on Balikwisha. I say 7 because I think it was quoted that it's going to be 5. But as soon as we qualify for the Champions League, it will be then 7, 8, 9, maybe 10.
Yeah,
you don't know. The money will go.
Oh, we do know it'll be too much anyway. We do know.
Aye, and then he'll come in, he won't hit the ground running, and I'll be calling him out every single week, and I'll be saying he's just another Yang. And
I just get deja vu there. Vu.
That's what it's going to be. But people are saying in the chat as well there, I've seen one of the comments about if Celtic sell Dyson, then the fans won't be happy and everything else. Yeah, of course we won't be happy, but let's be honest, what are we going to do? We spoke about all this before, boycotts and all that kind of stuff. There's nothing the fans are going to do.
The board don't care if the fans are happy anyway. They don't.
No. I mean, here's a question I want to put to you, right? So, Balikwisha, that's that notion that he'll sign if or when we qualify for the Champions League. Now, we've said a million times over, get the guys in at the front end and make sure you get to the Champions League. That's clearly not the way that we think. Now, again, whether you like him or hate him, there was the article put out by Celtic's favourite lackey, which is Steve McGowan. And usually when he speaks, there's a relative amount of kudos and backing to it, because we all know he's got the ear of those around the board and they want to pump out the goodwill stories. He has predicted that Celtic will sign 4 players. I'll take that, as long as it's 2 wingers, a striker, and 1 other. I think that would put us in good stead. But again, that's with losing nobody, because we're already behind on numbers as it is. But looking at it, Balikwisha, there's one there. Uriah Seta, he signs for 20. Now, we know that we bid for him about 4 million in January. He moves to 20 for the exact same price. So what's the deal with that? We then look at Jacob Breum, Joe, and that was another bit of a joke, wasn't it? They wanted 5 to 6 million because it was a healthy sell-on. Celtic came in and went, do you want a fiver? And so on and so forth. But it's then got to the stage where we have a supposed target, well, not a supposed, a factual target, someone who bidded for moving to 20 for the same amount that we bidded in January, when we need someone in that position. What all of a sudden happened that we don't want him? Why did we move on? And then this circus with Breum, embarrassing. We've got their owner, director of football, whatever it is, coming out and slagging us off. You should be more like Rangers. They just paid the money. Ha ha ha. We're starting to look a wee bit of a joke, and we know.
Aye. We're taking the back seat in our own finances, and the board just concentrating on saving that tiny little bit of money. Listen, we've touched on this a million times, that it's money grabbing and penny pinching in all the wrong places, because that's what, at the end of the day, puts the money in your back pocket. It's both the fans and the players. That's it. The board don't do anything else. They don't do anything to put money into their back pocket except make stupid deals with big names to oversell us on a bunch of merchandisey crap that we'll all stupidly buy because we want to and show support and everything. So yeah, it frustrates the life out of me. And as you said, even at the start there, you kind of get sick to the back teeth of talking about it sometimes because you go, well, it's the same story year in, year out, season in, season out. Sorry,
Yeah.
it's frightening at times.
Well, Paddy, there was a name that you brought up there, and that was David Strelich. Now, this is a guy that Lobo spoke to us about when we had pleasure his company. Now, what I will say about that was interesting. We were just talking to him after the Rangers game, and we were talking about the general form and the striker situation. Obviously, Adam Ida got on the score sheet in that game, but we were asking about what Celtic need, and did he think that Adam Ida, to his eye, was the guy who was going to kick his on and be the next big thing as a striker. And he wasn't, I think it's safe to say, he wasn't particularly sold on Adam Ida. But he name-checked David Stralick, and that was unprompted. It wasn't like we says, by the way, what about this guy? What would the Celtic need? And he brought him up, which was, again, quite interesting. Now, this is a guy that we were meant to be in for, that we were meant to be bid for. Obviously, could have been playing as our opponents, Bratislava, but Kairat Almaty put them at the sword. So they are probably, when we talk about not making the Champions League and needing to sell an asset, well, that there, let's be honest, the finances of Slovan Bratislava are nowhere near that of Celtic. So they are probably the type of side that would look to cash in on a key asset. And we are definitely in the business for a striker. The word on the street was Celtic had made a bid of around about 7.5 million euros, which is around about the pocket of 6 million for this guy. Now that he's no longer going to be playing the Champions League, you'll imagine that he'll want a piece of that. And similar to Lennon Miller style, it's his old dad that's been coming out and saying that Celtic are meant to be interested. I'll bring him up on screen, but Paddy, what's your thoughts on David Strajek as being a potential solution?
Yeah, listen, he was one of the ones when, obviously you're saying that when Lubo spoke about him, I went and had a wee look. Slovakian international, decent enough player. I think he's a striker that Celtic need. He's a no-nonsense striker. And he does the dirty stuff in there. He can score with both feet. He can score with his head. Obviously playing at Slovan as well. Like I said, Steve, they've been knocked down now into the Europa League, is it? So they'll look to be selling a main asset, and he is their main asset. He's their main guy. So yeah, for me, going in there with a bid, what did they reckon his dad says? Was it 7.5 million?
Yeah, I mean, well, they're looking at there in this season alone in their qualifying, their qualifying phase. He's had 4 outings and scored 3 goals for them.
Yeah,
not too bad. So I mean, as it stands at this season, he's 4 goals deep in the best part of 5 games. You know, that's not too bad. You can't ask for.
you can say he's playing in the Slovakian league, not the Premier League. Sorry, but he could come and do a good job in Scotland.
I mean, when you look at his numbers there, his numbers is 74 goals, 29 assists, and 211 appearances on the pitch. The most important thing there is, as you can see, Europa League there, Champions League qualifying. We know there was in the Champions League proper, obviously, last season. Europa League, Conference League. It's roughly where we want to be, isn't it? It's shown the right sort of it's shown the right sort of attributes that you want in a player. It's experience is key, particularly at Europe, and he's in a decent age bracket. He's got a decent amount of games under his belt, over 200. That's probably more where you want to be, because the other one that's been came about, somebody that we spoke about, and I think it's honestly the rumour that needs to die, is the chat of Jamie Vardy coming to Celtic for a year. I would rather, as much as I think that a fit and fire in Jamie Vardy would be a great addition to have around short-term plaster, sticky plaster on a gaping wound, but I would rather have someone like Stralick coming in, Joe, over that option.
100%. Like, we all know that Vardy's not the player that he was. I'm not saying he's a bad player, but he's not the player that he was. Even sticking him in for a year, it's just a sheer money and publicity stunt kind of thing. You know, it's something to get the name and sell a million more tarps, you know. So for me, it's just as you say, it's a rumour that has to die. It's a rumour that has to go
Oh,
away, and it's a load of
and
rubbish. Load of rubbish.
quietly die. Yeah, I
Ah,
mean, the thing is though, Paddy, it's important if Celtic are interested in David Strike that they don't. And I know you can say, well, that's the way business works. Don't go in with a cheaper bid because
yeah.
you're in the Champions League. Just go back with your normal bid.
Aye.
Exactly. They'll take it. Trust me, that's their main asset. And if they've not got many other people in for him and he wants to play Champions League, he'll have a decision in it as well. And hopefully guys like Lubo, who Slovakian internationals have been over here and witnessed what it's like to play at Celtic Park and been a legend here, hopefully can have a wee quiet word in his ear and say, listen, that's where you want to be, that's where you want to spend your career, or maybe send him a wee message and say, like, get on to this
Get
guy.
to Celtic, mate. I get to
Aye.
Celtic. Well, there's been also a fair lot of absolute rubbish that's come out. I think that any time that we are in need of a winger, as we clearly are, you've got linked to anybody. There was one that came out that I say their name just because I have to. Team Talk said that Celtic were after come on Bischoff at Brøndby. Now, if you don't know who Team Talk are, see if you ever look at the baddies shirts when they play away in Europe. That's their sponsor, by the way. So take that one right to the bin. But no, that was our friends at Celtic here. They were Quinny and the boys. They went and done a wee bit of digging around and reached out
Yeah.
to some Brøndby publications. I went, don't know what you're talking about. Never heard of that. That's the way it's going to be, isn't it, Paddy? You're going to get, it's crazy time. You're going to get linked to everybody. But the other positions that we absolutely need are centre backs. There's been two that have come out the most. One that keeps on coming around about is this chap here, which hopefully this will share well, which is Etienne Ute, I hope I'm saying his name right, Kinkui, and he is playing at Le Havre. I'm sure you may well have seen this guy's profile coming up a few times. I wish that would just bloody go away. That I pop up there. But yes, this guy's come up a few times, and it seems strange when you bring in, Simpson Pusey. It seems strange when we've got Trusty, when you've got Carter Vickers, you've got Welsh coming on to a game, that we would go and look at. There's two guys here. There's him and also Adam Overt, who's also Slovakian. He's playing at Cagliari. Now, Paddy, what do you think of this? Is it overkill? Are Celtic going to bring in another centre half? And in terms of the stature, this boy here, 23, big bit of a boy. He's got 137 games under his belt, predominantly, obviously, as you can see, League One and some in League Two. But are Celtic really going to go out and buy another centre half? And if so, does that mean that these apparent rumours, and they are just rumours, of Trusty maybe making way because he wants to be a guaranteed starter with a view again of the World Cup, more realistic?
Listen, see Celtic go out and sign a defender without bringing in another winger or a striker, there'll be hell to pay. I think if we do lose Trusty, and if Trusty is going to go somewhere to get, like you said, a bit of first team football so he can break into the America squad, then I think, we would be looking. But if he's wanting to get into the America squad, surely he'd want to play alongside another American international, and he's doing that at Celtic. You've got Carter Vickers in there as well, so kill two birds with a one stone. If the American manager was coming over to Celtic Park to watch a game, he'd basically get to see two of his centre halves rather than one. Do you know what I mean? So he's probably got a better chance of breaking into the squad if he stays at Celtic. He's guaranteed Champions League football and stuff as well. So bids like this, I think they can be rubbished away.
Yeah. You're on mute.
So are you putting that in the bin? Or what about
Aye,
yourself?
straight in the bin.
Are you thinking, again, the other one, just sorry to jump in, the other one is, as I said, obviously I brought up the boy from Le Havre there, but there's Adam Obert. Now, he's Slovakian. He's a centre-back and contracted 2029, and he's playing at Cagliari in Serie A. Now, it was interesting because this report with a bit more behind it. It was actually a Cagliari-focused publication over there, Calcio Castedo, that came out and said that Celtic, as well as Antwerp, and they were actually name-dropped, both those clubs were name-dropped as having made an approach, with it saying that Celtic had a €3.5 million bid rejected for him, with the club wanting about €6 million. Again, strange.
But sounds typically Celtic. If they want 6, let's give them 3. That's very, very like Celtic.
So you can almost trust that to be 100% true. Because of it,
There's bound to be some truth in that. Again, it's one of the ones, Steve. If it happens, it better happen after we bring in a winger and a striker. Because I'm not going to be happy if that happens. That's kind of my thoughts on that. Can I also just say as well, there's been a lot of stuff online about a young girl, Sky Stout, who came through the youth academy at Celtic, and she signed for Kilmarnock, and they released a picture of her, and there was a lot of stuff on there. She scored tonight, and do you know what? Get up, you. See if you're online and you're slagging young girls, you don't deserve to be about. That's all I'm going to say on it. Do you know what I mean? Honestly, fair play to the young lassie. What a way to answer all these absolute plebs that sit in front of computers and give people abuse.
So I wouldn't normally. You've took us down a right rabbit hole here before we finish up. But I think it's to bring it in. Good honour, Obviously, there's a Celtic link in there. She signed for him for Celtic, but just on it, I think that there's a responsibility for people in the media to be positive about these things. Now, I'm using the guy's name, and he's absolute dirt. But I don't know if did you see the clip talking about this? And it was Joey Barton on his podcast. His absolute ramblings of a madman that's lost the plot. Joey Barton claims, words to effect of, what did you think was going to happen? The club put that young girl in a seriously bad position. It's their fault. How did they think that was going to go down? I mean, that's disgusting. For an ex-professional and a guy who, as much as he's an absolute idiot and he played for Rangers, forget that part. The guy's just lost the plot. He's gone down this shock jock, ridiculous, over-the-top phase. How irresponsible is that? Whether that young girl has facial issues with acne or otherwise, or doesn't, it shouldn't matter. This is a big, massive thing for that young girl. This is be one of the proudest moments of her life, and why shouldn't she be allowed to be displayed by the club, announced and given the proper professional football treatment because of some issue that she's got with skin?
She's a professional for a reason.
It's completely short-sighted idiocy for guys like Joey Barton putting that kind of stuff out there. It's absolutely disgusting, and there's no place for it. People like him should be a lot more responsible. That's what I want to say about that.
It's the same thing, like when the England women won the World Cup as well, or the Euros there. It was straight on, and he's giving it all the thing, you should get equal pay now and do this and do that and blah, blah. And he was going on his bad mouthing pretty much every one of their achievements. And he's just doing it to stay relevant because he's got absolutely hee-haw. Scott Brown should have just kept him in his pocket. People like him shouldn't be allowed out. They shouldn't be allowed a platform because all he's doing is just he'll badmouth people to make himself more relevant. That young lassie, like you said, Steve-O, absolutely brilliant. She came through the Celtic youth. She's made her way into a team.
And as it says there, McLaughlin scored a free kick today. And do you know what I did like? I loved the attitude of the young girl where she just says, I'm no bothered. I'll do my talking on the pitch. And there you go.
That's it. That's what I was saying. She's a professional for a reason, and appearance or whatever else it may be doesn't come into it. It's not a relevant factor. Get lost with all your bad negativity and horrible comments.
Yep. Absolutely. I can't see fair that. Well, that brings us all the way through. It's been good to catch up, guys. Of course, indeed. We are going to be back because the games come thick and fast. We'll be back through the turn of the week because we've obviously got that big Champions League game coming up.
That walk in the park, you mean? That walk in the park.
That walk in the park, listen, you get it cupped up. But there's plenty of stuff to be said around about that. We'll obviously hear for the manager, we'll hear for the players, but just on it real quick, guys, is confidence high? Is it a banana skin waiting to happen? Now we know that we have been doing well in terms of playing Kazakhstan opposition, particularly at home. A wee bit trickier away, but we get the job done at home. Is it going to have to be one of these situations, guys, where we need a good 3-4 goals clear in the bag?
Are you asking us for our predictions, Steve-O?
Maybe I am. Maybe that's a roundabout way of saying it.
Right, well, I'm going to go for 5-0.
Oh, 5-0.
I'm
going to go
4-0 this time. Normally 4, but I'm that confident that I think Yang's going to come off the bench and get a goal to make it number 5. So Aye, 5-0 for me. I think we do the job at Parkhead, and then we can send a depleted squad out there and keep our main squad.
There's need
for the game
No,
against
no,
the
we
Paddies.
can't. No.
You've lost
Yes.
it. You're mental. You were doing well there, Paddy, and you just done it.
5-0.
What about yourself? You getting that madness?
I think we'll comfortably put it to bed. I think that it will be 3-0. I don't think it's going to be 5, but nice, comfortable 3-0, done, dusted, and on the away, I think 4-0 on the away.
4-0 away. I don't think.
I wouldn't say that away. I reckon it'll be a bit
I
tight
think
over
we'll
there.
do enough to get
That's
the job
my
done.
confidence.
I'm going to sit as well. I'm going to go a wee 3-0. I think it's important for us to get that done. Indeed, tell them that's it. Typhoon, like and subscribe. It costs you nothing. Help supporters get to the 2K. But no, I agree. I think that we'll do enough to get the job done. But I think it's imperative that we learn from what we've seen so far. I know the options are short, but you got to go with Maeda through the middle here. I've got to say it, guys. Do that. Start Forrest. Start Yang and hope that he hits the ground. I know I'm saying hope, but hope he hits the ground running and take it to them. Go out attack. Get the goals in the bag. Get it secure. And then we'll take it as it comes over there. We know it's going to be a hot climate. But again, I caveat that and say the opposition aren't any great shakes. So we should do enough to get through it. And hopefully it will be the case, boys. Definitely. But that is us for the now. So says we'll be back through the week. And as we laid mentioned today, if you haven't done it already, get your bodies over a Celtic State of Mind and watch me and Paddy talk about our various things. A few good points. We basically spoke about where we're at so far in this season, what we thought about the upcoming match there. And of course, there was a wee bit of board bashing. People say, Paddy, that the fan podcasts like ourselves don't go and talk to the border. Some people say that. I've heard that's the case, that we don't tell the truth, but that would just be a barefaced lie, wouldn't it, mate?
Yes, I'm by no means a board enthusiast or ever will be. I think that they've got far too much say over what happens at our club. And yeah, get over, check that one out. There's a lot of good points on there. A lot like you say, board bashing. Yeah.
But a wee bit of board bashing, it goes, that's it. Got to hold them to account, haven't we? Because we want, it's no moaning. It's no moaning. We just want the best for the club, and hopefully they do. So anyway, guys, let's roll on. Let's kick on. We look forward to the game during the week. We're up for it. Hopefully we can push on. So anyway, that will be us. Till the next time, you take care of yourself. And as always, Paddy, send it home, son.
Hail, hail.
See you all later. Bye-bye.